This is my predicted Chelsea 11 to face Man City in the fourth game of our USA pre-season tour. Now, after that very convincing and dominant 3-0 win against Club America in the previous pre-season game, Chelsea fans are finally seeing Enzo Maresca's system work when we invert from the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. So long may that continue. But our next pre-season game is against Man City, and it will be Enzo Maresca's first real test with this squad. Now, I have double-checked the injury list just to make sure we are as up-to-date as possible. Chelsea have reported that Jackson is training with the first team, which is very nice to see. I don't know how many minutes he will get, but hopefully he does get some across this pre-season. But let's get into this starting 11. Starting off in goal, we are going with Robert Sanchez. Again, he had a very good game against Club America. His distribution was great, made some great saves. Jorgensen came on in the second half, and he's only been at the club about 5 minutes. He did have a good half as well, made some good saves, and was very good with the ball at his feet. Now, I just think Sanchez is going to nip it because Jorgensen has just got here. He's had a few training sessions, but I do feel that Jorgensen will be pressuring Sanchez for that number one spot. But for tomorrow's game against City, I'm going for Robert Sanchez. Moving on to that left centre-back, and I'm actually going with Badiashile. And I can't believe I'm saying Badiashile in a starting 11. But Levi Colwill is out with a minor injury right now. They are monitoring that. So hopefully when he is fit, he can return straight into the team. But Badiashile had a very good game against Club America. He was nowhere near that disastrous Badiashile that we're used to seeing. Whether that was because of the centre-back partnership or the fact that we had some support on that left-hand side from Gusto, I don't know. But I would start with Badiashile as he is a left-footed centre-back, and our other left-footed centre-back in Colwill is currently injured. Moving on to that central centre-back, and I've gone with Tosin. I think he was incredibly solid against Club America. He is a player I forgot to mention in my analysis, but he looks so good, especially for a free transfer. He wins everything in the air, he's good with the ball at his feet, and he's not afraid to step up with the ball and find those passes into midfield. We're going with Tosin. Moving on to the right centre-back, and I'm sticking with Reece James. He was very good against Club America at that right centre-back position. Something that is relatively new for Reece James, but I felt like he was a lot more comfortable when he was going into defence and moving out to the right back, which is his more natural position. And when he was coming across into right centre-back, he was solid. He recovered well, he made some good passes into midfield, and occasionally drove forward with the ball as well. We know that Reece James isn't at full match fitness yet. You can see that he's carrying a little bit of weight, and that's not to shame him. We are in pre-season. He will get quicker. He will get his fitness back up, and I think he'll be a very staple player in that right centre-back position going into the season. Moving on to that left-hand side of the double pivot, and I have chosen Malo Gusto. This guy had an incredible game against Club America. He looked very comfortable playing left-back, which he did a few times last season, but he was also extremely comfortable inverting into midfield. He looked like a completely different player inverting from the left than he did inverting from the right. And I think this shows how fluid and how versatile our defence can be when we have players like Malo Gusto who can play either side and invert from the left. It gives us another option and another dynamic. While Cucurella isn't here, while Viega isn't quite match ready, then I think Malo Gusto playing left back and inverting on that left hand side is a match made in heaven. It works so incredibly well. I also think it's incredibly important to have a system that integrates both Malo Gusto and Reece James into the same starting 11. The fact that Gusto is comfortable on the left and can invert very well is amazing, and it also allows Reece James to play right back in defence but also squeeze into a right centre back role, meaning that we can utilise both of these throughout the entire 90 minutes. Moving on to that right hand side of the double pivot, and I have chosen Romeo Lavia. This guy should be the first name on the team sheet based on his current form. He is outstanding. His all-round game is almost perfect in every game that he's played so far. Distribution's so good. Interceptions amazing. He's covering the defence at the right time, knowing when to stay forward and when to come back. That sixth position is so natural to him, and I genuinely think he's going to be fighting Caicedo for that number one spot as a holding midfielder, because honestly, Romeo Lavia can't put a foot wrong right now, and Man City will be a very good test for him. Moving on to the left wing position, and I have chosen Raheem Sterling. Now, I've made it very public that I'm not Raheem Sterling's biggest fan. That doesn't mean I don't rate him. I do rate him as a footballer, but for me personally, he is one of the most frustrating players to watch, because he could have a 10 out of 10 game where everything goes right, or he can have a 4 out of 10 game where he holds onto the ball too long, makes the wrong decisions in the final third consistently. Now, Raheem Sterling compared to Mudryk right now in Maresca's system, Sterling is ahead of Mudryk. Mudryk looks very lost in the system and he hasn't really found his feet. He keeps making the wrong runs by the looks of it. Players aren't passing him the ball as much, whether it's because Mudryk isn't in the right place where he should be positionally or making the wrong runs. I don't know. But out of the two, Sterling and Mudryk, I'm going with Sterling. He has had some good games in pre-season. It's just that final decision in the final third that needs to improve. Moving on to the left-hand side of the advanced eights, I have gone for Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, or KDH for short. This guy had a very good first half against Club America. We know that his match fitness is not quite there and that will improve, but what a player in Enzo Maresca's system. He fit in like a glove and was showcasing why we bought him. The creativity this guy had is incredible. Great way to pass, great vision. Could have actually had a couple of goals, but got himself an assist, made an instant impact, and I want to see more of him at Chelsea. Moving on to that right-hand side of the advanced 8 positions, and I have chosen Enzo Fernandez. Now, my original theory is Enzo Fernandez would be utilised as a 6, as a deep line playmaker, and whoever is inverting, whether it's from the left or right, would kind of protect Enzo so he can have that time on the ball and find those passes. And we may see that throughout the season. But as of right now and how he was utilised against Club America, he came on in that advanced 8 position, and I think he had a very good game. He had a lot more time on the ball because we were overloading. He was finding those passes, and he's just come off the back of a Copa America. His fitness will still be relatively peak, but he should be raring to go, and it'll be very interesting to see how he can play with KDH in the same team. Moving on to the right wing position, and I have chosen Noni Madueke. I still think this guy is our out-and-out right winger. He's very direct. Yes, he can be very frustrating like Raheem Sterling with his final decisions, whether it's cutting the ball back, whether it's taking the shot or holding onto the ball too long. However, he grew into that Club America game very, very well, and he was unlucky to not have a couple of assists to his name if it was down to Broja making a finish or other players putting the chances away that he was setting up. I think he had a very good game. A lot of people are talking about that penalty incident. It's really not that deep. He is just a guy who's young, passionate, and wants to do the best he can every time he's on the pitch. Plus, he scored a banger penalty. He should be starting against City. And that leaves us with the number 9 position, and I've chosen Christopher Nkunku. Now, I know so far he's been utilised as one of the 2 advancing 8s, and he scored 3 goals in 3 games. He's on the form of his life and playing very, very well, and he looks like he fits into the system well and is just playing with freedom. And I want to see that continue. He's a very intelligent footballer that makes very intelligent runs. His link-up play is brilliant, and he can take a man on. I just want to see what he looks like up front when you've got people like KDH and Enzo Fernandez behind him, feeding him balls. Mark Guiu has played very well for his pre-season. I'm not disputing that, but I don't think you could leave Christopher Nkunku out of our starting 11 right now, considering how well he's been playing. Nicholas Jackson has only just been integrated into first-team training, so I doubt he will get minutes, and Mark Guiu will play at some stage, but I would start with Christopher Nkunku because I'm curious to see what he would play like as the number 9. And that is my predicted Chelsea 11 to play Man City in the 4th game of our USA pre-season tour. Do you agree with this lineup? Would you change players? Let me know in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. I will be doing a live watch along here on this TikTok account, so make sure you're following so you can keep up with the updates. It'll be very interesting to see how Maresca does against Pep and how these boys integrate this system against Man City. It's not going to be the strongest Man City in the world. It's also not the strongest Chelsea team in the world because we do have about 4 or 5 players missing. Be very interesting. I think it'll be a lot of psychological mind games before the first game of the season, but that's just my opinion. If you are new around here, make sure you hit the follow button, and I shall see you guys at the watch along.